The Vampire Diaries Season 8, Episode 5, Coming Home Was a Mistake. This episode I thought was really cool. It was a pretty somber episode, of course, because everybody's super depressed and they're, honoring the memory of Tyler. So it was an interesting episode the way it was playing out, where it's like, of course, everyone still kind of has to do their own thing. Like, of course, Bonnie was doing everything she could to help Enzo, so initially her plan was to, not even leave. Like, she didn't leave until the end. Like, she would not leave him. The only thing she left to do, I think, was to go get food. And that was really it. And she came back. So, I like the way it played out, where it's like everyone's still brought together by this, unfortunate event. But everybody's still kind of doing their own thing. Matt is dealing with, once again, kind of being brought right back into the life that he was trying to leave behind. And I like that. And, of course, that leads to the revelation that, Tyler was actually hunting down the sirens. Like, he was actually working with the armory, and he was trying to hunt down the final siren, or, and basically try to figure out what the heck is about to happen here. So, I thought that was really cool. And he was trying to figure out what was happening with her. Craziest thing, of course, television's like, all you have to do is just talk to a different main character, and poof, you find all the people you need to. But I thought it was cool. I was like, okay, they do the reveal at the opening where, he had all this information on Seline. And of course we have Matt being the one that finds out, so naturally he doesn't know who Seline is because he's not really, wrapped up in the world just yet. Or at least, anymore. He's trying to leave it behind. So I like the way it played out with everybody's sort of different elements in the episode. Even Stefan and Damon still had their own thing because Sybil is trying to still do everything 100%, against Damon. It's like, I lost Enzo, but I still got something on this guy. Like, I did the subconscious thing. He's still coming back to me, and she knows that because he's having these issues, that he can't be as loyal as she really wants him to be. He's not 100% just yet. He's really close, but he keeps fighting with that humanity. That's like the last thing. If his humanity had turned on, he would have broken free from her. But of course, she was like, alright, do this because I want you to, so that he knows, or so that he's kind of pushed into, trying to, getting rid of everything so that he is loyal 100%. So, I like the way it was playing out, and, Stefan eventually, he decides, like, we just gotta put him down, we gotta remain him, and then just lock him in the casket for a super long time. That's all we can do at this point. And, sadly, that kind of plays right into Sybil's plan, because, of course, Stefan actually having this plan work, him and Caroline actually taking Damon down, that's kind of what pushed him. He's like, being emotional and stuff is a weakness, or having these feelings is a weakness. That's the only reason I got caught, is because I was distracted, and, that's how they were able to shoot me in the back. So, that kind of just pushed him further into Sybil's arms, which really sucks. And then, of course, Sybil escaping in general really sucked, and that comes from Seline actually using the girls to absorb some of her magic and, bring Cade back to life. And sadly, I was really hoping this. I was like, man, I hope this isn't a permanent thing. But they torched George. Just not. I don't think her name is just Georgia. It's like Georgina or whatever her name is. They killed. They officially did it. So I was like, oh, that really sucks. Like, her body was like roasted, and here's that little tattoo, and she's just gone. Like, at this point, I would assume it's been, who knows how the time frame works, but, considering how things have been before, where people were even, sent back in time, it's like, alright, yeah, she's probably gone. Kate probably got to her, and that's all there is to it. So, that was really unfortunate. I was like, oh man, it seemed like they were, really doing something with their character, and it seems that it's kind of official at this point. They, like, roasted her body, and she's gone. Granted, it's the Vampire Diaries. She could easily come back, and I wouldn't even be surprised by it. They just have to say this happened or that happened, or we reversed this, and, something pretty simple. But that sucked. I was like, oh man, that at least feels like it makes it official. They could do a nice little surprise where she does end up coming back. But at this point, it seems fairly official, and of course, that gets the other intern, he ends up taking off, because of course he's the emergency contact. So Sybil is able to use her abilities in a way I didn't even expect, but, they can use their abilities in a physical manner, where she basically uses, like, supersonic vibrations and shatters the glass, and she just takes off, no big deal. So, now she's off, her sister has brought Cade back, so that's like the big thing I'm curious about, because it seems like from the promo that they might actually kind of team up, because it's like, oh well, my whole plan was to bring back Cade, and Seline did the, she actually set it up to bring him back in this episode. So it seems like this will be that moment where their kind of distance ultimately ends up bringing them together. It's like, well, didn't really want your help breaking out and don't really want to talk to you because of what happened in the past. But, you got Cade back, so that's kind of the whole point of everything we were doing anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So I thought that was interesting that, they both escaped and now the plan has succeeded. So I would assume they're going to team up unless they're just going to quarrel, which they could. That would make it pretty interesting if they still decided to keep fighting despite the fact that their ultimate plan has succeeded. Or at least it started with Cade coming back to life, because we still have that golden ball. We still don't know what the deal is with that, because it had nothing to do with what Seline did. She just torched a body, and that was pretty much it. And then they only talk about it for like one scene, but Alaric, when he's talking to his other intern, he's like, basically, how the heck did I get to Mystic Falls and it should be, like 70 miles and it was like 7 miles or something like that. So there's still this whole crazy teleportation thing going on or something like that. So, they're exploring that, so I assume it has something to do with how they're going to end up trapping the sirens. Maybe it's just another way to do it, considering where he came out at, right near the clock tower. It's just a pretty easy way for it to be like, alright, well, we can get her to Mystic Falls, because of course that's where it's going to end. And then, I don't know, somehow we get her in the manhole, or both of them, I guess, and then that, that traps them, I don't know. But it's interesting, it's just a little hint at this point, they haven't done too much to explore it, but I thought that was cool. I was like, alright, they didn't kind of just leave it like it happened and, that's it. So they are exploring it, and we will get an answer to that, somewhere in this season. But I'm actually excited for that. I feel like at this point it's just a cool little thing, like how in the world did he get to the city, through like this crazy magic tunnel. But I feel like there's going to be something, there's got to be something more to it. Clearly it's supernatural, so I feel like there's something else that's going to be useful for them. So kind of excited about that. I'm kind of excited to see, exactly what happens with it. But that was a fun episode. And, of course we have the ending of the episode where Alaric and Caroline actually do get back home and they try to get to the girls. And they find out that the girls have been taken because, I don't know, I guess Selene's finally just decided to make her move. It's like, oh, my sister is officially out. She's officially back. Now I'm just going to go full force. There's like no point in wasting my time here. I'm just going to use these girls. And that's pretty much it. So, I thought it was cool. And of course she knew that they were magic, which didn't surprise me. Like, they didn't have like a crazy reveal or anything like that. They didn't even do a flashback to when she first realized that they were magic. But I thought that was cool. And it probably came from just being herself. I'm sure she has super hearing like everybody does in this show. So I don't know what, but they didn't do like a big reveal. It was just she knew what was going to happen when she held the girl's hands. And I was like, that's cool. It was just like, yeah, she knew about that. She's known probably for a while now, exactly what's been going on. And she probably knew that Caroline was a vampire. She probably realized that, that time when she died, because I'm sure she didn't forget. But it's hard to say. Like I mentioned that before, we don't really know if they can be compelled or not. So maybe she actually did forget when she was killed, but maybe she didn't. Maybe she was just like, okay, now I know some weird stuff is going on. So I don't really know. It's hard to say, but I like what they did with this episode. I'm glad the reveal came out. That was pretty cool. I didn't think that it would come out in the very next episode with the way they kind of played with it last time, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to let, Sybil erases Damon's memory. And it's like, oh, I won't let you remember who the other siren is. And I was like, okay, so now it's going to be a mystery where they don't know who this other siren is. And then, they end up finding out. They, still think it's one person, and then they would find out, later on. I didn't think it would just be like, I'm not telling you. And then the very next episode, that's when everybody finds out. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I prefer that just because it, moves things along. But I'm excited for the next episode. Based on all this information that Tyler had, that kind of left to Matt, I'm curious if there's going to be some sort of answer. Like, I know he had all of these pictures and stuff. Like, he had drawings, really old drawings of her, as well as some color, photos. So I'm curious if there's some sort of clue as to how to defeat the sirens without the tuning fork, because that's another big thing in this episode. When Sybil, realizes, like, oh, the ringing isn't happening through the PA system anymore. let me just break out of here because clearly, something happened, so it's my time to get out. And now she has the fork, so they don't have anything to use against her. And I feel like this little box on Seline might have some sort of clue as to, how to take out both these sirens. So definitely excited for this next one. It's really coming to a head. Things are getting really drastic, but we got the whole team back together. Who knows how involved Matt is really going to be, but we do have, Bonnie is able to take, well, actually I don't know exactly what she can do, but she's always with the team even without her abilities. So she'll be back with the team. She was able to save Enzo, who fortunately didn't die. I thought for sure, like, because I was thinking, like, she could just run back in there, but the house is basically falling down right now. But I was glad that it played out and they both ended up surviving, because that would have been really sucky if, like, they killed Tyler and then they killed Enzo off in, like, the next episode, or I guess technically 2 episodes later. But that was cool. Bonnie was able to make it work as usual. She's always able to, pull through and get some crazy thing done. But I was glad that worked out. They have their romantic little moment. So the whole team is back together, and now they know who to go after. And they have to do it, not only to save Damon, but now they have to save the girls who are going to be used just to do more magical spells, I guess. So we don't know how the heck this is going to play out. Cade, of course, is coming back in the next episode as well. So the amount of villains is oddly growing, which I wasn't expecting. I thought we'd have like a singular villain, but we get, Sybil, then we find out Seline's a villain. Now we have Cade coming in as a villain. Damon is basically in full villain mode since he's being controlled. So there's a lot for the team to kind of deal with, but I certainly enjoyed this episode. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now that they have both Damon as well as the girls kind of under their control, I want to know how you guys think the Sirens and Cade are actually going to continue their plan. Like I said, we still have that weird gold orb thing. We don't know what the heck that's for. I thought it was to bring back Cade, and maybe it was, but maybe it has a secondary function. It's hard to say now, because I thought that was the whole point of that. And then Seline, basically, it seemed like all she had to do was just burn a body and just do like a magical spell. And maybe it was because it was that specific body, because the tattoo and everything. Maybe that's what needed to happen. It's like an unintentional portal because it was tattooed on a body. So it's hard to say, but there are a lot of possibilities. Like I said, I want to know your theories on it. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.